Okay, welcome back. I'm here with Tony Spaniolo, the owner of bcrealestatelawyers.com. And now, Tony, probably the largest real estate specific law firm in BC. Memory serves me correctly, I think you're up to, what, 13 offices now?
Yeah, Mark, we have 13 in the Lower Mainland, 2 in Kelowna, and 1 in Nanaimo. We also have land on the moon, so if your clients can get there, so we're ready for future growth.
There you go. Well, listen, Tony, the reason I asked you back is a lot of the viewers may know that we did this. You were on here before. We did a little video about the first-time home buyer bonus that was introduced in the budget in February. And as we all know, things have changed since then. So I wanted to get you back and just kind of ask you what's changed and how it's working now.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more certainty to it now, Mark, in terms of how it works and the forms that are required and things like that. So when we spoke in February or March, when we did our first video on this, we weren't sure if clients had to do something on their income tax return, if they had to wait until next April when they did their taxes. And I think there's a lot more certainty to it now. So what we now know is that this has nothing to do with your income tax return, apart from if you make too much money, you don't get it. But there's forms out that are very specific to this bonus. They're on our website. They're on our Facebook page. I'm sure you'll have a link as well. And people can start applying. It's great that we're having this call today. The legislation was just passed yesterday. People can start applying now. It's not part of their income tax return. You don't need to put it as an extra line on the return. It's a separate form, separate application, and you get the check back from the government. So there's a lot more certainty with how it's working now, Mark.
Right. So, like you said, it's no longer a tax credit. It's actual cash being given to the buyer.
Yep.
Just talk briefly, if you could, just what are the specifics of it? What are required? How does somebody qualify for this?
Yeah, no, love to. You're right. It's not part of the income tax. It's not a credit. It's a check back from the government. It's free money.
Right.
Well, free in that it's paid by taxpayers, but it's meant to help first-time buyers get in the market. You know, new construction is a great source of real good jobs in the economy. The government wants to stimulate that. But basically, if you're buying a new home and there's HST payable, and you are a first-time buyer, you are eligible, and you're a BC resident, a few other conditions like that.
Yep.
You are eligible for this first-time home buyer bonus. Now, it's 5% of the purchase price is how it's calculated, up to a maximum of $10,000. So if your purchase price is $150,000, your bonus will be $7,500. And if your purchase price is $400,000, it's capped at $10,000.
Right.
So it's really a straightforward 5% of your purchase price up to $10,000. Fill in the forms you have to go. You have to be a resident. It has to be new property, so you're paying HST. It has to be your principal residence. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, when I said it was a new property, it could also be a substantial renovation where over 90% of the home has been replaced or renovated. But those are the general criteria.
And completion dates specific before.
Yeah, well, you have to move in. It's before April 2013, April 1st. So you have to, the contract has to be dated after February 21st, 2012.
Yep.
Completion has to be before April 2013. And it shows that date because there's HST transitional rules. But if completion is within that window, it's free money. Now, there's a couple little things about this, just to reinforce what we said earlier. You have to be a first-time homeowner. And what that means, it's the same definition as the property transfer tax. So you must never have owned property anywhere in the world at any time as a principal residence. So if you've owned several investment properties, you're still considered a first-time buyer.
Right.
But the big difference is this, Mark, with the property transfer tax. If my wife and I are buying and I'm a first-time buyer and she's not, if we both go on title, the property transfer tax is prorated. So we would pay half of the property transfer tax. With this first-time home buyer bonus, both my wife and I must be first-time homeowners. And if we're not, then we don't get any of the bonus.
Unless you just put it in the wife's name.
Exactly, yeah. So there's a little bit more planning required now than just under the property transfer tax. So it's important that you speak to the broker, the lender, your lawyer beforehand to get the contract right. They can usually be assigned after if the names are not quite how they should be. But
right.
Really want to give some thought as to who's going to go on title for this new property.
So, Tony, do you have any idea when this cash is coming to the buyer?
No, coincidentally enough, I just happened to phone the provincial government about an hour before we did this call, Mark, and the legislation was just passed yesterday.
Yep.
The forms are out now, so presumably people can start applying now over the weekend or Monday, Tuesday next week. And there's nothing posted on the website as to how long it should take to get. Other government programs are typically 6 to 10 weeks to get the money back. I'm thinking HST rebates.
Right.
I'm presuming this is about the same, but I don't know. But there's no reason why your clients can't apply now. If you're a first-time home buyer, you can apply now.
Perfect, Tony. Well, listen, once again, thanks for coming on and shedding some light. I'll once again put a link for your website and your telephone number, so if anybody has any more questions, and they can get a link to the government site where they can download the application.
Great. Thanks, Mark.
Perfect,
Appreciate
Tony.
it.
Thanks for coming. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too. All the
Okay,
best. Bye-bye.
take care.